Jerusalem, the sacred city that has witnessed the rise and fall of countless mighty empires. Where the ancient prophecy slowly becomes reality, these recent days suddenly carry something strange, a heavy feeling, as if the wrath of the gods is silently drawing near. The ancient streets whisper of a future we never dared to dream of, while posing a profound question. Could this be the forewarning signs of the cataclysmic event that generations of believers have awaited for millennia? The mysterious prophecy, dormant for centuries, suddenly awakens, a cosmic shift impossible to ignore. The city on the edge of the world is about to turn a new page in history. Even more frightening is whether the day of Jesus. This sign is becoming increasingly evident. Jerusalem, the crossroads of all faiths, stands on the brink of a cataclysmic upheaval that will shake the world. So there's just one final question left. Are we truly ready or not? These signs cannot be denied. The world is facing its final moment. Are we truly ready to face the unimaginable yet? Religious leaders in Jerusalem have uncovered something utterly astonishing. This shows that the return of Jesus could happen within our lifetime. At the foot of Mount Olu, unusual geological disturbances are baffling scientists seeking answers. The prophecy directly mentioned this. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem. And Mount Olu will split into two parts. Jerusalem is becoming the backdrop for events that mark a turning point in shaping the world. But are humans truly ready to face what is about to happen? The clock has struck twice, and we can no longer return to the past. Throughout history, the faithful have always paid special attention to the four great prophetic signs heralding the coming of the Savior. Currently, all four of these signs are appearing simultaneously. What worries us the most? Some warn that it may already be too late to prevent what is about to happen. Among these signs, one stands out due to its urgency. Perhaps it is already too late to stop. The first sign is the revival of Israel. Before Jesus returns, the Bible clearly prophesied that the nation of Israel would be restored and become an independent state. But it was not just the revival of Israel, it was the chain of events that followed which made this prophecy more profound than ever. An astonishing prophecy made over 2,500 years ago has now come to pass in our time. The Bible, the book of Isaiah chapter 66 verse 8, writes, "Has anyone heard about this yet? Has a seen these things yet? Can a nation be formed in just one day? Can a nation be formed in the blink of an eye? History has proven it." On May 14, 1948, this prophecy became a reality. What astronomical event happened that day? This proves that God Himself is behind the revival of Israel. This is no coincidence, but the arrangement of the universe. Here are the two English translation options. Choose one or request adjustments. What is the mysterious force that enabled the Gitai people to revive with such astonishing speed? Many once believed Israel could never rise again. But God had ordained a different plan. After World War II, a miracle occurred, surpassing all expectations. Israel has been reborn. The prophecies began to come true rapidly. In 1967, Israel regained control of Jerusalem after nearly 2,000 years. In 1995, Jerusalem was officially recognized as the capital of Israel. In 2018, the U.S. officially recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Currently, Israel is the focus of global attention. The second sign is the spirit of unity among the entire nation. The Jewish people are not only returning to Israel but doing so at an unprecedented speed. What drove this strange migration? Who is the hidden force behind this incident? Deuteronomy chapter 33 promises that then, your sacred land will restore all that you have lost, and will have compassion on you, and gather you from all the nations where the Lord has scattered you. Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 to 14, describes the vision of the nation of Israel being restored to life. I will bring you back to the land of Israel, and this gathering will never cease. More and more people are called back home each day. Did this final gathering reveal anything about the near future? The third sign is the construction of the third temple, something the Jewish people have long awaited, when the Holy Temple will be rebuilt. This prophecy is mentioned in the book of Daniel, the book of Revelation, and even in the teachings of Jesus. Preparations for this event have begun, and the recently discovered sacred artifacts could help accelerate the construction progress of the third temple. The temple was rebuilt, marking a pivotal moment as the prophecy began to unfold. In Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, The prophecy foretells that at that time, a person will establish a covenant with many for 1 week. However, in the middle of the week, that person will diligently help the Vietnamese prepare offerings and participate in the ceremony. A powerful global leader will reach a ceasefire agreement. But midway, he would hold sacrificial rituals, insisting that the temple must be preserved. But what deal is being secretly negotiated behind closed doors to secure the temple's reconstruction plan? In 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 4, it mentions a future ruler who will proclaim himself to be God and sit in the temple. For this to become a reality, the third temple must be built, and this work has now begun. The temple in Jerusalem has completed the crafting of the candelabra lamp, the design of the high priest's ceremonial robe, and the crafting of sacred vessels. Everything is ready, just waiting for permission to start immediately. What forces have quietly obstructed the construction of this temple, and who holds the final decision-making power? Finally, man added the red cow. Before constructing the temple, a purification ritual must be performed. This purification ritual requires a completely unblemished red heifer. Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish. There is no endpoint, and upon it oppression has never existed. For over 2,000 years, the Israelites have never ceased searching for a red heifer that meets all these criteria. In 2022, the perfect red cow was transported from the US to Israel. As soon as they landed, a strange phenomenon suddenly appeared, frightening the priests so much that they postponed the ceremony. If one of these cows still maintains its trust until it reaches adulthood, where will the temple be built? Some guessed it would sprout right next to the stone circle. The newly discovered evidence could completely change our understanding of the temple's true location. The Jewish leaders are very determined. They believe the temple will soon be built and have already begun preparing everything. The ongoing conflicts may determine the temple's fate. The final struggle has secretly begun. The location for building the third temple is not merely a matter of religious belief. It was an inevitable countdown, and time was slipping away faster than ever. When these strange things appear, the final era is drawing very near. The third temple is about to appear, and there's not much time left to prepare. The Bible prophesies that a time will come when nations around the world will turn their backs on Jerusalem. But what powerful alliance is secretly forming to betray this sacred city? As the global political landscape shifts, the pressure to divide Jerusalem continues to grow. Pumpkin has become the hot topic of intense debate on the international stage. Is this scenario gradually becoming a reality? What secret discussions are being held behind closed doors, where the future of Jerusalem will be decided? On that day, when all the nations of the world gather together to oppose the Holy Kingdom, I will make Jerusalem an unshakable rock, immovable by any force. Anyone who tries to move it will bring harm upon themselves. What disaster looms over the first nation daring to challenge this indomitable city? Right now, the United Nations is discussing measures to control the city of Jerusalem. And calls to divide Israel are growing increasingly louder. What important action is the United Nations about to take? This could turn Jerusalem into an immediate flashpoint of conflict. For the first time in history, the whole world turned its gaze toward that city. The whole world is waiting to see how things will unfold. The focus of current international debates is the two-state solution. A proposal to divide Jerusalem and place part of the city under international administration. However, the Bible clearly affirms that Jerusalem is the city of God. And any acts of division will face severe consequences. What consequences will nations face if they dare to violate his territory? And when will this judgment take place? In chapter 3, at the warning in Bridge 2, we will gather all the nations and led them down to the Jehoshaphat's valley. There, I will judge them for what they have done to my inheritance, the people of Israel. Because they have scattered our people far and wide and torn apart our homeland. Despite the warning from the Supreme Being, the world continues to push forward with these plans. Globally, we are witnessing a concerning trend. Countries that previously supported Israel are now shifting their stance, oppose Israel's claim of sovereignty over this territory. World powers are joining forces against Jerusalem. And any influential leader has their own perspective on the direction of this city's development. This global focus is clear evidence of the biblical prophecy. It is gradually becoming clear before our eyes. The most contested piece of land in Jerusalem is the Temple Mount. where the first temple and the second temple once stood, and the third temple is expected to be built soon. Conflict around this area is pushing the world toward the risk of a large-scale confrontation. The Bible clearly states that the battle for Jerusalem will be the spark that ignites everything of the last world war. And when nations rise up against it, Jesus himself will return. When the whole world conspires against Jerusalem, this city is where the prophecy is about to be fulfilled. The Rai people are experiencing a revival, and the pace at which events are unfolding is accelerating far faster than our previous predictions. Perhaps the world thinks they hold the reins of the story, but it was God himself who ordained the ending. Could the world's failure to follow the prophecy lead to its downfall? The end is near, but the greatest prophecy is the return of Jesus. In the book of Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 4, it is written, "On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem. And the Mount of Olives will split in half. When Jesus returns, he will set foot on the Mount of Olives. And the earth will split apart as a sign of his coming." Currently, a strange phenomenon is occurring on the Mount of Olives, signaling the time of Jesus' return. When his foot touches the ground, the earth will split in two. Scientists have identified an underground stream flowing beneath the Mount of Olives. And if a great earthquake occurs, the mountain may split in two, just as prophesied in the Bible. What geological activity is occurring beneath the Mount of Olives, and could it potentially happen suddenly at any time? Is this the sign we've been waiting for all this time? The signs around us are undeniable, and Jerusalem stands on the brink of a great turning point. Time is running short. The final sign will appear on the Mount of Olives. And does this prove that the return of Jesus is inevitable? Chapter 24, verse 42 in the book of Matthew says, "Stay awake, for you do not know when your Lord will come." The Bible is a one-of-a-kind book in human history, present in every culture, yet no library can fully encompass its immeasurable worth. What makes the Bible unique is that no one on earth has ever witnessed all the events from the beginning with their own eyes. Thus, no one can fully explain the origin of all things. But what sets us apart is that through God's Word, we understand the end of all things. God did not give these prophecies merely to satisfy human curiosity. He gave us those prophecies so that we may prepare in time. To avoid being caught off guard when things happen, we can give thanks because Jesus sincerely shared and opened his heart to let us know what is to come. Today, many people often ask, are we living in the final days of this age? The Bible refers to the last days, and that period began over 2,000 years ago. On the weekend day off, this marks the beginning of the prophecies about the apocalypse coming true. Since then, every generation of believers has been reminded to live in hopeful anticipation of the day of the Lord's return. Always ready at all times. The Bible contains many prophecies about future events. There are a total of 735 prophecies, and each of the 4 chapters in the Bible contains a prophetic message. Some books focus more on prophecy, but from beginning to end, the Bible remains a prophetic work. Out of those 735 prophecies, as many as 596 have come true exactly as predicted. This shows that 81% of the prophecies in the Bible have been fulfilled. Many of these prophecies were recorded hundreds, even thousands of years before the events actually occurred. With 81% already realized, it's not hard to believe that the remaining 19% will follow a similar path. The accuracy rate of these prophecies is extremely high. To this day, every prophecy in the Bible has been fulfilled with 100% accuracy. The majority of the remaining content consists of prophecies about the return of Jesus Christ and the events that will follow. How many unfulfilled prophecies remain before Jesus' second coming? About 20 of these words need to be closely monitored, especially when signs begin to appear. Jesus himself taught us to always be watchful and diligent in prayer. So what exactly are we waiting for? We cannot just stand still, look up at the sky, and wait for Jesus to appear. That is not the true meaning in his teachings. He wants us to observe global developments and pay attention to the signs he has sent, so that we may prepare thoroughly. These signs are the signals given to us in Matthew chapter 24, when the disciples asked Jesus, "What signs will signal his return?" Jesus answered clearly and plainly. As a result, we can better envision what will happen in the future. In the book of Revelation, his answer is presented in greater detail, but in Matthew chapter 24, He clearly outlined the key signs that would appear before his return. While sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately and asked, "Teacher, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Be vigilant, do not let anyone deceive you. For many will come in my name, claiming, 'I am the Messiah,' and will mislead many. They will deceive many people. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Do not be afraid, these things must happen, but it is not yet the end. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. This is only the beginning of the labor pains, and then he will continue again. You will be arrested, handed over to suffer torment, and put to death. Because of me, you will be hated by all nations. At that time, many will lose their faith, betray one another, and be consumed by hatred. Many impostors claiming to be prophets will arise and deceive countless people. Because evil is spreading ever wider, the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved." He continued to explain that the gospel would be spread to all nations, and then the end times would come. He warned that when they witnessed the abominable sight that brings desolation, just as the prophet Daniel had foretold, standing in the midst of the desolate quiet, they had no choice but to flee. At that moment, Lord Chesu said, "People in Trudy must quickly go up the mountain. Those on the rooftop should not go back to get their belongings. That will be the most agonizing period, unparalleled in human history. And if that period is not shortened, no one will survive." Here are the translations, depending on the desired tone. False prophets will strive to deceive, not even sparing the chosen ones. He taught his disciples to ignore anyone who claimed to know his whereabouts. His return will be as evident as lightning flashing across the sky. After a time of hardship, the sun will darken suddenly, the moon will cease to shine, and the stars will fall one by one. When this event occurs, humanity will awaken, and all people on earth will mourn. When they saw Jesus appear with great power and glorious splendor, his outposts will gather the chosen ones from the four corners of the earth. Jesus then used the illustration of the fig tree to teach his disciples a lesson. When the soft branches of the banyan sway and the leaves burst into bloom, that's when everyone realizes summer has arrived. Likewise, when you see all these things happening, know that he is near. This generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have taken place. Even if heaven and earth may change, my words shall endure forever.